Hi, this is Tanya from Tea Talks 93. So sorry about last week. I didn't get to get the last episode done on Sister Wives, but I'm here now. Let's get going. So Sister Wives Season 19, Episode 14 is called The Truth Will Set You Free. I actually appreciated this episode because I did enjoy Robin talking about their spiritual beliefs and different things with Cody, because Cody's been saying, I lost my religion. He has gone against the AUB faith. So I kind of wanted to hear like what he is thinking about the religious aspect from this point. So I did enjoy that. Starts out Robin and Cody is at their house and they're getting ready to go on a date, and Robin talks about how having the little kids, it's really hard to get out and have a date very frequently. I've heard some other people saying, well, the kids could watch them, but she did say that Aurora and Brianna have been in college, and they, college, you have a lot of homework sometimes, so I'm sure they had to wait until they had some time off so that they could do it. So that makes sense to me. And then maybe the little kids also had homework and things that you have to get going. So maybe this is like a break from school or something. I'm not really sure, but they go on their date and they go to this little business or this little restaurant called Josephine's in Flagstaff. And I've heard some people like say, oh, it was a little rinky-dink, grungy type of place, but in our area, so I live fairly close to where Cody and Robin live, but in our area we have really been trying to, instead of knocking older buildings down and building new things, especially for the mom and pop shops or the local businesses, we've been trying to refurbish or make the old homes and things new and converting them into businesses. And I think that's what they did with this place, is they converted an old house into a restaurant. And I tell you, we have a restaurant here that is an Italian restaurant that is in an old little house, but it kind of has a different ambiance. It feels kind of old world. I think it has some character, and I really love that Italian restaurant that we have here that's in that kind of a situation. So I like it. I like refurbishing the old things and making them as new as possible. Anyway, so then Robin wants to talk to Cody about the girls, Brianna and Aurora. The last episode they talked about wanting to find a church to go to. So that's what she wants to discuss with Cody. Then it flashes over to Christine's engagement party back in Salt Lake City area. Christine talks about, again, how the AUB would encourage plural marriage. And they're like, yes, you have to do this. This is the doctrine. This is what you're supposed to do to get in heaven. But whenever, other than the first wife, they usually did not have big celebrations with the second, third, and so forth wives. However, I've seen clips of them talking about this on the couch whenever the whole family was still together. So it was Cody and the 4 wives at the time. Christine and Janelle talked about this, like, with our religion, you don't have these big celebrations for the second, third, and non-wives. And then you could see like Robin's face. She was like, well, we did, because I had that fancy wedding. But Robin's situation was different because they went public, and she was able to do that because she was showing the world what their plural marriage looked like. So that was a different circumstance. Christine talks about how they didn't do that 20 years before Robin and Cody got married, is when 15 to 20 years before Robin and Cody got married is when Christine and Janelle and Mary all got married. But they did it because they were supposed to be secretive about it, because they were always afraid that they would get arrested for polygamy. So that's why they had to hide their weddings, and they just made it like little house parties or dinners or something like that, instead of a big celebration where it's announced publicly. Makes sense to me. Anyway, so Christine's engagement party, Janelle and Hunter come from the east. So Janelle is living in South Carolina, around where Maddie's living, and Hunter had gone to Johns Hopkins University for nursing school. So I don't think they told us where he lives, but I would guess it's somewhere back there in that area. So maybe he is closer to where Janelle and Maddie are living, and so they just came together to Christine's party. And then it like shows a clip of Peyton cracking jokes about how short and quick the relationship's been going, and he's just like, you know, whatever from this point between Christine and David. It was just kind of a funny little jibe at them. But at this point, we're kind of like, yes, it's fast. Yes, they're going through quick, but whatever at this point. Just be happy about it. It's kind of like get on the train or jump off. Pick one. Anyway, Christine talks about how her and David's kids get along so well, and she talked about like Mykelti. We all know Mykelti. I like Mykelti personally, whatever you think about her, but I think she has a good heart and good intentions for the most part. So I have asked her questions and talked to her online before, and you know, she just tries her best. She's from a family of divorce, so it's hard to, you know, not show too much favoritism and try to maintain a relationship with both sides. So it's hard not to be stuck in the middle as the child. I was the child of a divorce, and my mom would talk bad about my dad would talk bad about my mom, and then I felt like really bad, like, am I supposed to be on somebody's side? I don't want to take sides. I really don't need to hear this at all. Anyway, but Mykelti is that person that's trying to bring everybody together. So Christine has Mykelti, and then David has another daughter that's kind of like Mykelti and trying to bring the family closer, the two families together, so there's not so much awkwardness and so that they get along. And I guess by this point of the engagement party, all the family is jiving pretty well, so that's cool. So Christine wears this. She's the bride. All right, that's legitimate, I guess. So they go have this party at a taco shop, and so she wears white. And you know what's going to happen. I don't wear white for this exact reason. I don't want to get stuff on white and then can't get it out later and ruin something that I just bought or whatever and spend that money, right? But she and David make a bet about, he's like, you're going to spill something on it. And she's like, no, I'm not. He's like, I bet $5 that you're going to spill something. So then, of course, he turns away and he's doing something on the side with his kids or somebody's kids. And, of course, she spills, like, beef broth on her shirt. And she's like, Janelle, I know you have one of those, what are they called? The pins, like the cleaning pins for clothes, like if you're out in public. Anyway, like a Tide pin or whatever. I hate saying the name, but so Janelle's trying to get it, but of course, was it Mykelti? Somebody like called David over, like, look, she lost a bet. So she's like, oh, they ratted me out. Kind of cute, but that's exactly why I don't wear white. It has to be something super special, and it has to be like white themed before I will wear white. Anyway, Hunter, oh yeah, David's eating, and Hunter's like, hey, can I eat some of your food? I want to try some of that's on your plate. And David's like, okay. And so he hands it to him, and David's like, I have never shared food before I met Christine. And I thought it was kind of funny, but now he's like sharing food with everybody, even the extended kids. But I thought, yeah, I never shared food. Like growing up with my mom and dad, they had their plates, I had mine. I was not allowed to share food with anybody. And like my brother or me, we definitely didn't share food because we thought it was gross or whatever. But when I had kids, then we have always shared food. We always try each other's food. I don't mind taking a bite after them or whatever, but my family growing up, we did not do that. So I can understand where David comes from with that. But I'm for it with my kids. I don't really like it with even some friends, but it has to be somebody extremely close to me for me to share my food or take food off their plates. Anyway, kind of interesting. Flashes over to Mary and Jen. They're getting ready to go to Las Vegas and visit another friend named Brandy. They talk about how they met in Las Vegas, so sometime between when Mary moved there till now, they've been friends since then. So Jen knows all the tea. She knows everything that happened in the marriage from then on to now with Cody and with Sister Wives and all the things. Mary talks about wanting to create new good memories in Las Vegas and kind of let the past go. So that's pretty good for Mary. Flashes back over to Robin and Cody, and they start talking about wanting to go to church. Cody says, so I don't know if anybody else noted it, but I did note it, that he said that Robin is the one that the kids are more comfortable talking about it to. And it made me think that probably Cody, he's still like, I lost my religion, I don't believe in this, it's awful, blah, blah, blah. He went on like a podcast with, like, was it Mormon? It was some Mormon podcast a few months ago where he was talking about like not believing in a lot of the doctrine, the things that especially the fundamentalist Mormons believe in the AUB. He's kind of on the fence, it seems like, with some of the LDS teachings. So I could see where the kids would probably be like, let's not talk to Dad. He's going to get upset and irritable and stuff over it. So Mom is more reasonable, and we can down to earth, and I can talk to her. So that makes sense. But it also made me think of the times when he, like back in the first season or two, when he and the older kids, like especially Logan, especially when Leon was talking about her faith and their faith at the time, and how they wanted to practice, polygamy and all these things. And then there was a time when McKelty, he was like, if you're not going to go to church, tell me why. Explain it in a way that makes sense, and I won't force you. And she did that at least one time when they were in Las Vegas. She didn't want to go to the church because she didn't think she believed in it anymore, and she wanted to pursue something else. So he's like, okay, I'm not forcing you to. And that's probably about the time that the whole conversation between the adults, they were saying that they didn't want to force the kids into their religion. They wanted them to make their own choices. And I swear Robin at that time was like, isn't that when she said, like, their frontal lobes are not developed, so they don't have the right to choose until they're adults. So she said that at the time. I knew she did. Anyway, we'll get to that in a little bit, how she's like changed her tune. Anyway, she talks about how Aurora, when he asked like if they wanted to practice polygamy, and Aurora had said no, she didn't want to practice polygamy. And then Brianna was kind of not real sure, but she said probably not. And Cody says, he talks about how the AUB was excommunicated from the LDS for practicing polygamy because back in the 1920s or 30s, I think it was 1881 or somewhere in there, they started like not wanting to practice polygamy. But then some of the people that did want to practice started breaking off from them because they're like, no, it's in the doctrine, this is what we're supposed to do to get into heaven. So then you got the FLDS, and you got the AUB, and you got the Kingston Clan or the DCC, and all these breakoffs from the LDS church because that was still in their doctrine. They just didn't want to practice it any longer because Utah wouldn't have been able to become a state if they continued practicing. So he talks about how he would not want them to go, like Aurora and Brianna, to go to their church, because Robin says, our church isn't here, and Cody's like, no, I don't want them to go back into the AUB. He says is culty, right? But I was thinking, like, I have looked into like different polygamous based LD or Mormon churches or FLD, fundamental Mormon churches, and to me, in my opinion, from what I have seen, AUB seems like the most benign one out of those polygamous groups. You have the FLDS with Warren Jeffs, and all the mess that is going on with them. They're the ones that wear the prairie dresses, and they had all these strict rules, and they were assigned who they were going to marry. They didn't get to pick who they were going to marry. Warren Jeffs told them who it was going to be. He took like 27 or I don't know how many wives, little kids he hurt and ended up in prison for the rest of his life. So that one is terrible. We all seen that one on TV. The DCC, sorry if you're a DCC member, that one is also awful. They marry their sisters and their half sisters and their cousins, first cousins. That's okay. No, it's not okay. It's crazy. So that one is like worse than the AUB. And then there's some other ones that have broken off from the different ones, but the AUB seems like the least strict one of the polygamous groups. So I would say, Cody, that they should not practice polygamy at all. That is church-based if the AUB is bad, because all the other ones that I know of are worse. My opinion. Yeah, and then I know I said it, but Cody says he wants them to steer away from the culty churches. So to me, that was him calling the AUB a cult, which a lot of other people have said too. But you know, that's his opinion, his beliefs now. It goes back to Mary and her friends. She talks about after the spiritual release, Cody asked Mary why she did it so fast. And she was like, remember, she was like, what do you mean so fast? This has gone on for like 10 years. And I think Mary has had like time to kind of grasp the situation. And, you know, it hurt, I'm sure, but, you know, he slow quit her. So she's the one, she probably had more time to process it than the other two, Christine and Janelle, did, because they were kind of fast quit. Just thought of that. Anyway, he asked her if she had a guy waiting. Was that why it was so fast? And Mary's like, this was not fast. You did this to me over many years. And then once we have made the decision, you might as well just cut the ties, right? Just do it. So she explained to him that it was just time, and she just wanted to be able to heal. You just like stop what you're doing and do something else so you can heal. Mary explains how she was so upset about the legal divorce, and then it shows like a flashback of that. And I remember watching her and how upset she was, and he's like, why are you upset? It's just a paperwork shuffle. It's not a big deal. But that was like at the time she and him got married, it was spiritual and legal at the same time. So when one is severed, it feels like the other one's gone. And I'm sure that really hurt her badly. And in my opinion, I think that led to the catfishing, because she felt like she was abandoned, I think. Even though supposedly it was her decision, I would guess that it was probably not her idea. I think it was probably Cody's idea, and she just went with it to make him happy. And that's what I think. Mary also says that she's been trying to be nice to Cody and not talk crap about him like he has her, which he did like the whole time, said bad things about her. And she was always like trying to be nice to him and supportive to him. Horrible. Anyway, yeah, and then like Cody, like when they got divorced legally, she was so upset, and Cody acted like he didn't care. He acted like he was really happy, actually. I thought that was disgusting, even at the time, because he was so happy to sever ties with Mary and be legally married to Robin. And you could see it when you watch that. If you go back to that season and watch that, look at his face and how happy it is. And then he and Robin even like went to the courthouse by themselves without Mary. So Mary wanted to participate in the wedding because she was part of this whole process. And then they cut her off from that and didn't make her a part of it. So that right there told me, I mean, I knew from season 1, but that reaffirmed it for me that it was the two of them together from then on. Flashes back to Robin and Cody. Robin says she wouldn't have married Cody if he wasn't happy in the AUB. And I think Robin's still struggling with not having her religion anymore. That was the whole point of marrying Cody, is because her parents, she grew up in that religion with her parents, her friends, her cousins, all of her community, and now it's just them. They're just kind of like, steering this life raft basically, and she's off on her own with her kids. So I don't know how this marriage is working when she still believes in her heart and he doesn't. But she's the one that's got to come to terms with that and give up her religious beliefs for Cody. Anyway, so Robin talks about the AUB's reaction to the show is what started Cody being put off by the religion itself. And Cody talks about they're a cult. They wanted me to cut off my hair. Brigham Young had long hair. It has nothing to do with hair. Why would they want me to cut off my hair? Oh, we all want you to cut off your hair, Cody. So I'm for the AUB on that. I think your hair should have been snipped down to where you're bald, because get over it. The little noodles hanging on the front of the head is crazy. Just stop. Just stop. Your hair is gone. Just live with it. And it seems to me kind of to be a mental problem that you can't just say goodbye to your curly 3 or 4 strands of hair in the front of your head. Anyway, Cody asks if Robin and the kids felt safe. Cody asked Robin if the kids felt safe talking to him about religion in church, and she's like, "Oh yeah, they do." And bull. He even said it. He knows he is not safe to talk to you about religious, spiritual beliefs right now. Maybe later, once he is over quitting, he quit his religion. Once he's over that and comes to terms with what he does believe, maybe they'll be able to talk to him a little bit more and feel safer in the discussion. But right now, I think he would explode if they say the wrong thing. So it makes sense to me that they don't go to him and they go to their mom. Robin talks about not pressuring her kids to, this is it. This is, I said I'd talk about it later. She says in this one that she did not want to pressure her kids to choose a church. And then she said, it was something like, I don't understand why other parents pressure their kids and make them feel bad about choosing or not choosing their own church. And I flashed back to that scene back in whatever, it was in Las Vegas when McKelty and was it Maddie? I think Maddie also, they did not want to practice the polygamous AUB faith, and they wanted to find their own church or whatever to go to. And Robin threw a fit and said that their frontal lobes are not fully grown yet, and they can't make the decision until they are adults, because they need their moms and dads to direct them. And then Janelle and Christine and Mary were like, well, that's not how we have been teaching them for this 20 years that you haven't been in on our family. So now she's spinning it around to where she doesn't understand why people would force their kids to be in their church. Maybe it's just that in time, maybe the other wives had convinced her that isn't right, and that it's okay for the kids to figure out what they want to do. So maybe that's the case, but I just thought it was interesting that it was a total 180 from what she used to say. Cody says he'll read the scriptures and judge the minister. Oh, they're talking about so he's like, he wanted to join them eventually going to church whenever they decided which one. But he said, I know I'll be the one reading the scriptures and judging the basically ministers if he sounds like he's not telling the truth or if he's wrong on something, because he knows the scripture better than anybody, of course. And he wants the kids to learn to talk to God. He's okay with the kids going to the LDS church, which surprised me, because it's not, other than the polygamy thing, it's the same scriptures, it's the same stuff. And they talk about practicing polygamy in the afterlife. So I think, in my opinion, and I'm sure there's LDS people that would disagree, but they're pretty close. So I don't know that if I left a religion that I would want to just go with the next step down. I think I would want to go with something completely different. But, you know, it's up to them. And then he talks about being a knight there to protect Brianna and Aurora through this. And he said, I was playing king for my older kids, and then look where it got me. I have no relationship with them. So, kind of interesting. I guess he says king. I would probably say dictator, right? Or the patriarch of the family. He always wanted to be the patriarch and tell them what they need to do. But he's just going to try to protect them and let them make their own decisions. So that's a nice thing to say. We will see what he actually does. Flips back over to Mary and her friends. Mary says Cody was defensive during they had a post-divorce conversation. So Jen and Brandy are still there, and Jen's like, hey, explain to Brandy what happened with these conversations. Anyway, so Mary says she tries to be nice and accepting of the situation and not cause a lot of conflict between her and Cody. And she talks about how she was not impressed with the way basically Christine and Janelle, and then with Cody, handled their divorces. And I was a little offended for them about this, kind of, because they had different experiences in their marriages from Cody versus Mary's marriage from Cody. Because, like I said, Cody was slow quitting Mary for 10 years at least. And Christine and Janelle, he did not want to lose them. He didn't want to love them like he loved Robin, but he did not want to lose them. He did not want to look bad to the religion. He wanted to keep this polygamy family going, even though he didn't want to nurture the relationships between him and Christine and him and Janelle. So I disagree with Mary a little bit there. Janelle says that she was just standing up for herself and her kids, 100%. We could see that. I don't know how Mary didn't see that, because Cody was like constantly attacking Janelle and what Janelle was doing and not listening to him and not following his rules. And he's the patriarchy, and she's like, no, I'm a free woman. I can do what I want to do. I am educated. I know what's right, and I'm going to do what's right by me and my kids. And so Cody is the one that exited himself out of that situation because of that. But yeah, she was standing up for her and her kids. He was saying all kinds of bad things about Gabriel and Garrison, and then causing a big rift between him, and that caused the split between him and Janelle. Him not taking care of the relationship between him and his sons. So it's his own fault. And then I was also thinking with Mary, Cody didn't attack Leon. Leon was the only child with him and Mary. He didn't attack Leon when they were divorcing. It was about the two of them. It was not about the kids. Even like Christine, when Christine and Cody were divorcing, a lot of that, and I don't mean to put it on Isabel. It's not her fault whatsoever. But he chose to go do some wedding or some such nonsense during the same time frame. He could have been with his child. Even if he would have been there for 2 days while she undergoes it and goes through the primary recovery after it, he could have done that, and he did not. That is on him. That is his fault. He chose some BS excuse over his kid. So Christine chose her kids too. She protected herself and her kids, and that was Cody's fault. So no, Mary is completely different situation. Brandy talks about how she thinks Mary had Stockholm syndrome, and I remember thinking this myself. Like, she was brainwashed by the AUB. That's how she grew up. She was brainwashed by them. This is how she's supposed to live. She's not supposed to leave. She's supposed to keep going as long as he is able and willing to work with her on their marriage. He didn't do that. He ghosted her. He gaslit her. He manipulated her. He made her think that she was crazy, basically, in all this. He left her lonely. He did not nurture anything about her, not mentally, physically, spirit, nothing. And so I could see where Brandy would say that. Cody says, Brandy doesn't know me. Mary doesn't have to crap talk me. She's got her friends doing it, and Brandy doesn't even know me. And then Mary comes back and she's like, yeah, Brandy knows you. We used to go out with her husband and to dinner and stuff all the time, so she knew you. And she also knew the story from Mary's side. She also, I'm sure, has watched the show. And the rest of us have watched the show, and you're full of crap, Cody. So you need to take responsibility for your actions for all these years and stop making excuses and stop blaming other people. Yes, Mary had her own issues in the relationship as it was falling apart. I think, personally, I wish I would have seen her have the guts and strength to leave him when it first began. The problems that they had. When he was at Robin's all the time and not going to her house, Mary's house, and helping her or doing anything for her, that's when it should have ended. And I think if Mary, even at the time, would have gone to the AUB leaders and said, he's favoriting this wife over us and he's not spending any time or doing anything with me, I think she could have got the spiritual divorce 10 years ago. My opinion. And then Mary just says she stayed because of her commitment. So her beliefs, her, I say brainwashing, whatever, tomato, tomato. She says commitment. Sure, you can go with that, whatever. It flips back to Cody and Robin. Cody says the AUB is not a safe space for his family, so he doesn't want them to go there. And then Cody basically said that he will go to church with Robin and the kids once they find one that Robin enjoys. Then he talks about being worried that men will think Robin is single if she's by herself for too long at the churches, because that's where they met. When Cody was married to 3 other women, one was pregnant at the time. Christine was pregnant. He looks across the church room and he and Robin lock eyes, and it was like lightning struck. A shock went through Robin's body, and they fell in love at first sight. It was a romantic miracle. Sure, it was gross. That's gross. My wives, one of them's pregnant. I got 13 children. And then I'm going to pick up this hot young chick because I'm going through menopause. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. He was going through menopause, and he got this nice hot young thing that he fell in love with because she was better looking than the wives that are 10 years older than her. And so they then met suddenly, surprisingly, a month later, and then that was all there was to it. Now they're all together. Anyway, that was at her cousin's house that they met, and then supposedly Mary is the one that introduced them. So basically they locked eyes and fell in love, and then later they didn't know each other's names or much about each other, so Mary made that connection for them so that they can talk. And it's basically like Mary giving permission to Cody to seek this next wife. So that is one aspect of a lot of the polygamous faith, is they have to have the wife's permission to go ahead and pursue a relationship with a new person, new woman. Anyway, basically Cody sits there with Robin. He's like, let me see this big ring that you have on, and oh, I hope it's big enough to basically repel the men away from you and not let them know that you're taken. And she's like, hee 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 hee. And that grossed me out a bit. I don't know. I just don't like seeing them googly-eyed over each other when all this has gone on and he's dumped his other wives for her. And like his nephew Ben Brown said on one of his podcasts that basically he was married, and AUB basically allows for you to take your mistress into the home with your wives. So pretty gross, I think. But I'm a monogamist, always have been. Always thought polygamy was crazy. Don't understand it, don't want to. So each his own. If you practice it and you're doing it well and everybody's happy, good for you. Flashes back to Mary and their friends, and this is the last segment. Jen says that most women would sever ties and not be nice to Cody. So they were talking about that last time when Cody and Nathan are helping Mary move from Flagstaff to Parowan. And Mary isn't like that. She's kind and generous and all these things. Brandy says that she saw him always favoring Robin from the first time they met. I 100% agree. From the first time we saw Robin, when she's looking in the mirror, putting on her makeup and says, Cody is my soulmate. If you haven't seen that or don't remember that, go back and look at that. I think it was the second episode or something. She looks into a bathroom mirror. She's putting on like mascara or something, and she says, I love him. Cody is my soulmate. And I knew from that moment on it was going to be her and Cody. I knew it from then. Mary doesn't think that Robin intentionally pushed him to be monogamous with Robin. She thinks that Robin did initially want the whole family, but as time went on, Cody preferred her and things just fell apart for everybody else. I can see that. But again, I go back to that, Cody is my soulmate. None of the other ones said that. So that was like the writing on the mirror. The writing on the wall was that the otherwise would be phasing out, basically. And then Brandy says she also saw him showing favoritism during COVID. Absolutely. Mary admits Robin did not reciprocate effort in their friendship. So Mary would call and say, hey, let's go out, or let's bring the kids and we can do something or whatever. And Robin always had something else to do, some excuse not to do it. And so she was not a very good friend to Mary. And then Robin talks about, oh no, which one was it? Was it Brandy? Or one of those friends brought up the fact that Robin did not go to Mary's mom, Bonnie's funeral when Bonnie died. But she said that Cody and Janelle were both there. Cody and Janelle. Janelle is the ex-daughter-in-law of this woman and Cody's ex-wife. And Janelle went, and she and Mary had like a rocky relationship. But Janelle went. Janelle had the respect to go, and Robin didn't. That is awful. And Cody actually went, so that was good. But Robin couldn't figure out how to get her nanny to babysit, apparently. Couldn't work it out with the kids. I think that is a lame cop-out, Robin. And I think that makes you a bad friend. If you got sick with something, okay, I understand that. That's happened to me before. I got sick and I couldn't go to a funeral. A very important, 2 funerals actually. And I felt really bad about it, but because I couldn't find a babysitter, take the kids with you. Why can't you take the kids with you? Anyway, Robin made excuses about it being about COVID and not wanting to get exposed to COVID, blah, blah, blah. Baloney excuses, in my opinion. Anyway, Mary and her friends laugh about how Cody was sympathetic to Robin. Oh, that breakup conversation when they were on Coyote Pass at the picnic table, and Cody's like, yeah, we don't have a marriage anymore, Mary. And then Robin starts crying, and she had to walk away. She couldn't handle it, so she had to walk away. And then it was all about kind of her and her walking around the pond and all these things. Anyway, they were laughing about how sympathetic Cody was towards Robin during his and Mary's breakup conversation. And like later, like when they're at Mary's house after I think it was after the spiritual divorce she got from the AUB, she's on the couch. Cody comes in. I think he's got gloves in his hand, sitting in the chair. He's like, yeah, it really hit Robin hard, poor girl. And Mary's like, yeah, it kind of hurt me too, because it was my breakup conversation. So even that was about Robin. It's so crazy. He is all focused, everything on Robin. I wonder what's going to happen when she falls off her pedestal. If he's going to get wild on her, or if he's going to like try to patch her up and put her back on the pedestal. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, so Mary and her friends drive over to the cul-de-sac in Las Vegas since they're there. And it seems like Cody went there, Mary went there, and it's interesting to see her take on it. I think she internalizes a lot of her upset, because I think it did upset her to see that place, but she didn't let her emotions come out. She's probably had a lot of practice in the last 10 years of doing that when she's trying to not let Cody hurt her, is my opinion. But I kind of thought that maybe they were doing it to try to get closure, because that was the time when it was the best, but Mary had a heck of a time there. That's where the catfishing happened. That's where he started to ghost her and gaslight her and stuff. So I can't imagine that she would see it like he did. But that is basically where their last hope was of keeping the family going, because once they moved to Flagstaff, it was over. Anyway, she did get upset, it looked like, but she said that she was beyond it. I don't think she really was beyond it. I think it did upset her. I don't think she got closure from it. I think anytime any of those adults go and visit the cul-de-sac, I think it's just like reopening wounds, or opening up that scar if you've scarred yet, right? So anyway, that's all of that episode. We'll see what happens with the next episode. They did skip for the holiday break, but hopefully we'll see another one soon, and then we can review that one. But these are my thoughts and my review. I don't know if you have the same thoughts, but let me know what you think, and hopefully we can have like a conversation or whatever about it. But you guys like, subscribe. Thank you for watching. Have a good week.